Hi guys, I'm going to show you how to make this delicious baked veggie pasta. The first step is you're going to roast your vegetables. You need 2 squash, 2 zucchini, 10 mushrooms, 1 large onion, 2 red bell peppers, a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You're going to cut all your veggies into 1/2-inch pieces and your peppers into strips. Your mushrooms, if they're larger, cut them in half. Put everything on a baking sheet, pour the seasoning, salt, pepper, olive oil all over the veggies, mix it with your hands, and pop it in the oven at 450 for 20 minutes. You want them to cook until they're fork tender, but not mushy, because you're going to bake this again with the pasta and sauce and cheese. Okay, so I took all the roasted vegetables and I put them in a big bowl because you're going to want to mix all the ingredients together. So this is the roasted vegetables. Then I have 1.5 cups of frozen peas that I let thaw overnight in the fridge. So I'm going to add those in. We have 1 jar, 24 ounces of pasta sauce, whatever sauce you like. This happens to be tomato, garlic, and onion. You can use marinara. You can use whatever tickles your fancy. So you're going to pour all the sauce in there. You're going to add 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to add the 8 ounces of Fontina cheese that you grated. 1/2 cup of smoked mozzarella. Make sure you get all that sauce out of there. And you're going to give this a big old mix. You want to combine the sauce with all the vegetables and the cheeses. So at this point, you have a massive bowl of roasted vegetables, peas, and cheese with sauce. There's no pasta in here yet. I'm going to bring over my 9x13 casserole dish, and I'm going to get this greased up while I wait for the water to boil. So I'm just spraying a little bit of olive oil in there, and I'm going to take my little silicone brush, and I'm just going to spread the oil. Make sure the sides are greased, because you don't want this sticking when you bake it in the oven. All right. Okay. That looks perfect. All right. You're just using a regular store brand box of penne pasta. You can try other types of pasta if you want, but I found that the penne pasta holds up the best. Sometimes the bow ties can fall apart because you're mixing so much to get the vegetables and the sauce and the cheeses mixed in that the bow ties sometimes fall apart, and so do torli, like rotini pastas. So for me, penne pasta has turned out to be the best for this, and any old kind works. Okay, so the water's boiling. Normally you would salt the water when you're boiling pasta. I'm not doing that simply because the Fontina cheese is very salty, and the mozzarella has a lot of salt in it too, but the Fontina is really salty. So, and we already put salt on the vegetables. So I'm just going to boil the pasta plain, and later when I'm eating, if I feel like it needs a little bit of salt, I'll just sprinkle a little bit on my plate. You can always add, but you can't take away. So we're just going to boil this for 6 minutes because, again, we don't want it to be completely done because we're going to bake it in the oven. So I'm just going to put this on to boil for 6 minutes. Okay, so the pasta is done boiling. I'm going to drain it real quick. I haven't told you already, which I think I have. This little gadget, this little doohickey that I got, is the best thing in the world because you could drain any pot. It fits on any size pot, even little tiny saucepans. And you don't have to like break out the big colander and wash a big colander. This is a little tiny thing you have to wash, and it stores right in the drawer. So convenient, especially for smaller spaces. And you just attach it to the pot, just like this. with the little clips, and it works on any size pot. And you just take the pot to the sink and drain. So easy. Okay, so now you're gonna pour the hot pasta into the veggies, just like that. Got a little scragglers here. All right. Okay, and now you're gonna give this a good old mix. Get all the hot pasta and the vegetables and the sauce and the cheese incorporated. All right, now I can tell by looking at this that the 1 jar sauce, if I had used medium zucchinis, but I used a really large zucchini and a medium one, and the squash were kind of big and the peppers were really big. So I can tell by looking at this, I want a little more sauce on here. So I have an open jar of sauce in the fridge that one of my neighbors had given me. They're like, oh, this is the best sauce ever. You have to try it. So, okay. Put a little bit more sauce in there. All right. This smells good, even though it's not even baking yet. So that is well combined. Now I am going to pour that into the greased baking dish. Okay, so now you're going to pour all of that into your 9x13 greased baking dish. And again, if it doesn't all fit, that's okay. Save yourself a little for later. It all depends on how big your veggies were. Just going to push this down. And this is a perfect dish if you're going to a potluck or a holiday dinner and you have to bring something. This is a perfect dish to bake and go. And it stays warm for a long time. It heats well on those heating trays to keep warm. And this dish also does really, really well if you're setting up like a buffet line for like a large gathering or for family to come over. All right. Okay. And now you're going to take 1/3 of a cup of Parmesan cheese. And you're just going to sprinkle that on top just like this. And you're going to pop it in the oven for 25 minutes or until the top is golden brown and everything is nice and warm all the way through. And the cheese inside is going to get all melted and delicious. That Fontina and the mozzarella, it's going to be yum. Okay, so I'm going to pop this in the oven for 25 and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so this just came out of the oven. It's bubbling hot. All right, it smells divine. You see how some of the pasta got a little burned on the tips? That's my fault, because instead of 25 minutes, it was in there for almost 40 minutes because I got a phone call and I got distracted. But that's okay. Okay, guys, let's serve it up. It's piping hot. Mm-mm-mm. All right. Look at that. That, my friends, is a beautiful plate of pasta. Time to dig in.